because it has two major components. First, the issue of economy, and secondly, the issue of security. I will allow members, professional members of this committee, to put more light into this. You are all aware that we have four types of herdsmanship in Nigeria. The ones that are settled at home and they have their herdsmanship around their homes, creating no problem whatsoever. The other one, herdsmen from the northern part of this country, moving to the central Nigeria, down to the southern part of Nigeria, creating problems along the routes. And the other is transhuman. Herdsmen coming from West Africa, down to northern part of Nigeria, down to the middle belt, down to the southern part of Nigeria, creating a lot of problems along the route. And the fourth one are herdsmen who have settled, in particular, among certain ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. Because in those yesteryears, it was a symbiotic relationship between herdsmen and farmers. Herdsmen provide manure for the farmers, and farmers provide grazing area for the herdsmen. Hundreds of years ago, some settled in particular areas, and now they are indigenous of those areas. But due to changing climatic situation, increase in population, creation because of technology, the farmer now doesn't require the manure from the cow because there is a synthetic fertilizer, while the herdsman is not in position to get a new version of grazing. That is the grasses. He is still using the natural grasses. So members of the press, these are issues that we need to resolve in our new reformed agenda.
I'm a professor at the University of Ibadan and the chairman of the technical committee of this conference. Experts have spoken about the recurring decimal of the conflict. As long as the triggers of the conflicts are not addressed, you are likely going to continue to have a recurring decimal. And what are the triggers? Primarily, the typical livestock herdsman is always in search of food and water for his animals. And you are aware that most of the cattle routes have been taken over either as a result of urbanization, encroachment or as a result of development. Even the grazing reserves in some states that are gazetted have been taken over for selfish reasons. So where do you expect them to go to? They will go to other areas, and in the process of the movement, they are likely going to conflict. The good example I can give you is that cattle has the sensors to smell water 10 kilometers away. So if you block the route that is used to, the cattle will insist on destroying that route to the location. So we need to also consider those who are into cattle business in the traditional format are also human beings. They need to be addressed. But the panacea is we need to migrate, transist from this migratory tendency to ranching, mini ranching that support system can address. Professor Bashir, sir.
Chief Secretary, National Commission for Nomadic Education. His question is on education of the nomads. Let me say this. Our commission was established in 1989, and we felt that there are emerging issues. There are emerging issues that are coming up, like the conflicts, the insecurity. So recently, I think during the 9th Assembly, we decided to take our act for review at the National Assembly, where we included all these emerging issues so that we can also tackle the conflicts and the insecurity. We equally established a department of peace and conflict resolution so that we can go out, apart from the Department of Social Mobilization, we can go out and mobilize and then teach them a few things as to how to resolve conflicts without really escalating them to become an issue between the farmers and the herders. I want to say that over the period, 30, 34 years that we were established, we have moved the decimal point of literacy within the nomads. At the beginning, in 1989, it was about 0.2% literacy. Now, we're talking about 17 to 19% by the Federal Ministry of Education. So I think by and large, we are inching slowly. But the funding and other securities, particularly the movement, and we are also cutting into the ranching policy of the federal government. We are part of the National Transformation Plan that was launched recently. So we are also partnering with those groups, including this committee, so that we can also sensitize them on how to settle down with doing the ranching so that we can achieve the peace that we require. Thank you.
We all know that this is an age-long practice among the nomads, and it has resulted in several conflicts here and there. And this committee, one of the recommendations is the issue of ranching that will enable them to settle down. It's been proven scientifically that animals that are ranched or that are not subjected to so much trekking produces more in terms of meat, milk, than animals that roams around. This will involve sensitization, education, even through extension services to the nomads. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but it's a gradual thing. And I'm happy to let us know that His Excellency, the former governor of Kano State, the now APC chairman, Dr. Ganduje, has been able to achieve a lot of this in Kano State while he was the governor. And the results is there for us to see. There's so much improvement in livestock production there, which now can be taken to national level. And that is what this committee is proposing, that such needs to now be taken to national level so that we can have improved livestock production as they are ranched. And on the pasture thing, they need also to be educated on how to grow this pasture. It's not just about bringing seed and giving to the herdsman. They need to be taught what to do and how to do it in order to get the best result from these pastures that have been brought in from wherever. If you don't teach them, they will not appreciate, they don't be able to get the best out of it. And these are the things that this committee is recommending. They need to have a holistic approach to this livestock production so that the country itself can benefit generally from it. Thank you.
Assistant Rep in Nigeria. I will attempt to, the person who asked the question doesn't seem to be paying attention. I will attempt to answer the issue of why can't you buy land and settle down. This is a very simplistic approach to a very, very big problem. And that has always been the recurring question. Now, because, see, livestock production stands on three tripods, if you like. There is the animal. Then there is the land that you are talking about. To make these two work, you need the knowledge and technology. Now, the irony of our system is that the people who own the animals don't have the land, and they have limited knowledge of how to modernize their system. Now, this is what we are trying to do to break this jinx and get all the required functionalities into a harmonious manner so that you move forward in a more productive economic system. Now, if you take maize, for example, everybody thinks that you can plant maize and make money. But then, if you don't know the agronomic practices, if you don't weed, if you don't apply fertilizer, your neighbor who has these skills and has the resources to do it will have more produce than you. So if the livestock producer, he has the livestock, but he doesn't have the land, he cannot grow the pasture, he is not educated enough to modernize his system, how can he buy land? And then the competition for land economically, the rate of return when you are doing livestock by this traditional rearing will not be economically enough for you, for example, to buy land just in the outskirts of the FCT. How can you compete with the real estate? And we have seen how infrastructural development has taken over a lot of the natural land that the animals had access to. Roads, hospitals, expansion of towns, and this is what is forcing this pressure. But on the other, the positive side of it, like His Excellency said, there had been settlements. If you go to Ishe, I think it's in Oyo State, there are Fulanis who don't speak fully because they are fully Yorubanized. But they live on their livestock. If you go to all the rural communities, you will find stories of people who have settled there with their animals, and they don't own the land, but there is a symbiosis between them and the community. Now, this symbiosis is being broken by tribal, religious, and economic factors. If people think that they can earn more by translating their land into something, they will deny the pastoralist or the livestock producer and give it to an estate agent who will build houses. And then the man with the livestock is sold to go. But where can he go? If you ask him to go to the grazing reserve, the grazing reserves have been there. But this natural pasture that you see when you drive by the roadside, these grasses, they cannot hold the livestock. You must improve the pasture. To do that, you need investment. Where is that coming from? So the point is that there are developmental challenges where we feel that government has to come in and take the leadership. Now, a lot of industries have been commercialized, privatized, and taken over by the private sector. But in all of them, you see that the initial development is done by government. It is after these things have stabilized that the electricity is privatized. It is after they have stabilized that the airlines are privatized. It is after they have stabilized, now we are even going into the water supply system and things like that. Why is it different with livestock? So the point is, it is a simplistic approach to just say buy land. If you have the money to go into ranching, you can buy the land, yes. But believe you me, you will have to buy the animals, and you will have to either get trained or hire people who can manage those animals on the land to be economical. And the moment you find that it is not economical and you're losing money, you will drive the animals away and do something else, maybe crop farming or another enterprise. So we need time, we need developmental interventions to change this. I normally come with this. Have you ever asked yourself why, if you look at the historical antecedents and development, that it is the African cowboy who follows his animals on feet? In other climes, cowboys are known to be riding horses while they gather their animals. It's a matter of how you use the technology and how you change. So the component of the education is extremely important. And we're hoping that the new generation of the livestock owners will be enlightened enough, and they will have the skills, to take bank loans, if you like, to buy the land, and produce the productive animals. I hope this tries to answer and shed some more light into the perspective that you have. Thank you.
Report. let me start with a proverb. They say, it is easy to declare a war, but it's difficult to wage it. Meaning that we have made a number of important recommendations because we studied previous attempts, the failures, the successes. We put them together and made recommendations to Mr. President. But in order to find the solution, practical solution, that will provide the desired goals, you need strong institution. We recommended for the establishment of Ministry of Livestock and subsequent agencies so that various aspects of the recommendations will have appropriate institutions for implementation. We also recommend a source of funding, including international organizations, the private sector, the government itself, so many other things. So the answer we get is that Mr. President is ready to provide solution to these problems, especially pertaining to the economy of the livestock, and then the security aspect of the hardest farmers conflict. Thank you, and God bless.